In order for this program to work, both students and the local volunteers complete an application process, and many of the same types of questions are asked for each party. Their interests, of course the student's major, the student's home country. We ask the local volunteers if they have a major preference, if they have, or an area of study preference, if they have a preference for a bachelor's student or a graduate student. Sometimes people will have a preference for a country, students coming from a specific country, but in most cases that's not a preference. So we ask students questions, we ask volunteers questions. All of our volunteers are required to also submit to an interview and a reference, and we do reference checks because we want to make sure that we are, of course, linking students with local volunteers and local families who have been checked out in the process and so forth. When we get this information 2 or 3 times a year, we sit down and we do a matching process. And this is quite a process, but we simply compare the information that student has given with the information that the family has given. We're always looking at issues like pets and driving and smoking. Those are key issues when we go to doing a match. There's some other ground rules that we have, but we like to look at sort of close proximity, marital status of both the volunteer as well as the student, and so forth. But it's basically matched by hand, and then we contact the students and contact the volunteers, and we at this point have been doing an orientation meeting in which they all come together and have a chance, and we continue to refine that process. That's a lot of fun. You've asked me here how many matches have been made. I am sorry to say I can't answer that question. Because we are an all-volunteer organization, I'm not sure we have been able to keep some of those records like some businesses might have. But on an average, I think that we're probably matching 80 to 90 students a year. And so you could take that back and calculate out over the years. The original expectation was that the American host or family or friend would commit to remaining with that student for the length of time while they're at MSU. And while that happens for the most part, we only ask people to make a year-long commitment now because volunteers are not always as eager to commit for a long extended period. On the other hand, I just talked to a woman today who is still in contact with her first student 20 years after the fact. And that's pretty common. Maybe not 20 years, but we know that these are friendships that last long after the student leaves MSU. Okay?